If you fancy creating your starter site locally on your own computer, that's great. This lesson shows you how to do that using Local by Flywheel, an app that allows you to create and manage WordPress sites on your own computer for free on both Mac and PC. This video is from the previous version of this course. I haven't re-recorded it for this one. It's all still pretty much the same now anyway. Do beware. While Local by Flywheel is lovely to use and it has amazing features, it can be notoriously buggy. It's one of the reasons I don't recommend it now. I just can't really trust it. Lots of students have had issues with it too. Although for some, you can get on with it just fine, so you never know, you might be one of those people. If you need local development and Local by Flywheel doesn't work out, another option is Desktop Server. Desktop Server is much more rock solid and lets people down far less frequently. But it has a really ugly user interface like something from the 1990s. And there's also MAMP as well, which you could check out too. So by all means, work on your starter site and new sites locally. Just beware of the fact Local by Flywheel can be buggy, and that generally, I think developing sites on your hosting package is generally a much better idea these days. We'll be using a free bit of software called Local by Flywheel. It's provided by Flywheel, who are a hosting company, but you don't have to have a Flywheel account to use it. It really is completely free and available for Mac and Windows. So hop over to local.getflywheel.com, and all you do is you click download, you choose your platform, and you pop in your details and click get it now. And then you just download it and install it just like any other app. Now once Local by Flywheel is installed on your computer, just open the app. It's a very simple interface. Here you'll see a list of all your local WordPress sites, and you can click on each one to see the settings over here. Here I can stop or start the site, so the dots over here in green on the left show with the sites that are currently running, so you can stop and start sites whenever you like. These links jump straight to the WordPress backend admin panel for this site, or you can click on this one to view the front end of the site. I can click here to jump to the folder on my computer that contains all the files for this site, just in case you ever need to access them. And this link here creates a live link for the site. So that's for you to give to clients or co-workers or whoever you like. It actually creates a little web server on your machine, so when people view the link you give them, they're actually viewing the site from your computer. You can even log into the WordPress control panel from it too. It's very cool. All right, so let's add a new local WordPress site. This is going to be our starter site. So we'll click the plus icon here. Give the site a name you'll recognize. I'm going to call it Starter. In advanced options, you'll see the suggested domain name. Now notice it's the name I chose, but with a .dev extension. Now the .dev, it doesn't mean anything actually. It's just a handy way of seeing quickly from the URL when you're working on a site. You can see it in the address bar. You can see quickly that it's a local website, as opposed to if it was .com or something like that. Here's the location on your computer where the WordPress core files for this site will live, but you can change that if you like. Actually, in the preferences, you can change the default location that's suggested here. I actually changed mine so it's in my Dropbox folder, just so it's nicely backed up. Here you're asked if you want to create the site from a blueprint. Now, I'll explain blueprints in a moment, but to keep things simple for now, we'll just create this site from scratch. Here you choose the server environment you want to use for this site. You've got the option of going either with the default suggested by the app, the preferred settings, or choosing custom. Now the default preferred settings are fine, but I recommend you choose custom. The suggestions here are okay. PHP version 7 at the time of making this video is up to date. The Nginx web server is fine too. The reason I suggest custom and not preferred, well, one, doing it this way allows you to change the environment details later, whereas you can't if you choose preferred at this stage. And also, choosing preferred seems to lead to some weird issues with permalinks in WordPress at the moment, which is probably a bug in the current version of the app. Anyway, you don't really need to understand the details. All I would suggest is just choose custom here and then click continue. Here you pick a username and password you want to log in to this WordPress site once it's ready. And in advanced, you're asked if this is a WordPress multi-site, which chances are it isn't. And you'd know about if it is. It definitely won't be for our starter site. So now all we do is just click Add Site. Now we wait for it to do its thing. And we'll be asked at some point to pop in your password as well, your computer's password. And once it's ready, we can click here to visit our new WordPress admin panel or here to view the live site. And the only difference is that we'll just be viewing it from our own computer. Very quick look at the app's preferences now. So I'll come over to preferences. Here you set all the defaults you want to have set for you when you create new sites. Exporting is just where you set what sort of files not to include in an export if you ever export your sites out. In advanced, faster Docker volumes is a feature which helps your local sites run really fast. Problem is, I'm currently finding it causes issues with plugin updates in WordPress. It's a known issue that Flywheel are working on. So for now, I actually just turn this off. It just means things run a little bit slower. Now we saw blueprints mentioned earlier when we were creating the new site. So you can save an existing site as a blueprint that you can then use as the basis for any new sites when you create them. So to show you this, I'll come out of preferences now. I'll come back to our control panel. I'll right click on the new starter site and you can see that I can save it as a blueprint here. And you might think that'd be perfect for our starter site. You know, save it as a blueprint and then just choose that blueprint each time we create a brand new site. However, I actually don't use blueprints because you can't edit a blueprint later on to keep it up to date. So over time, the blueprint itself gets out of date, which kind of defeats the object. Actually, a better alternative to this is to instead just choose the clone option in the right-click menu here. So instead of clicking the plus, I could actually just now right-click the starter site, click clone, and then that would create a new site based on the starter site. And that's actually one of the methods we'll be using later when we start the website build in part 2 of the course. Now you might be wondering how we move these local sites to the live locations when they're ready to go live. We'll be covering that in a later module, so we'll come back to that then as well. So you've learned that the quickest and easiest way to install a fresh copy of WordPress is doing it locally on your own computer. You use the free Local by Flywheel app simply by clicking the plus button to create a new site and give it a name. We created a new freshly installed WordPress site called Starter, and this is going to eventually become the starter site that we'll use as the starting point for every new project, as we add to it and tweak it over the course of the next few modules. And Local by Flywheel is also perfect for installing and working on all of your new WordPress projects before they're ready to go live. Some items for you to actually do now. So job number 1 for you to do is to download and install the free Local by Flywheel app. Go to local.getflywheel.com. And then from there, create a fresh local WordPress site called Starter.